So this is that active motion, and it's one of the key initiatives that we introduced for building together is something that we called insights to action.
So last year, we made the deliberate shift to go from traditional research reports and readouts. Anyone attended one of those where the researcher just drops a lot of knowledge on you and then you have to go figure out how to take action on that? Yes. And we converted it to more of a interactive workshop where the researcher is facilitating that and bringing the cross-functional teams together to make decisions, prioritize solutions, and really take action because we deliver the insights. We want the team to make a decision on that and make changes. And it resulted in a lot of great impact so far. For example, like there are specific insights that now have been turned into a Jira ticket. So there's a way to draw like how the research made an impact because there's now a tangible ticket that someone's working on to make that improvement. Um, and there are more discussions. So now the stakeholders really had that space to ideate, leverage each other's strengths and expertise to really make a decision and solve customers' problems. So it's been a game changer so far.
Okay, so a few takeaways, do's on this one. Listen and adapt. This is really key to this project, and Marnie mentioned the traditional research model where you're listening to where a researcher is sharing insights, and it's a one directional activity. Well, we received some feedback that those one directional activities were feeling a bit passive, that they were feeling a bit too academic, and so um, you know, feedback can be a wake up call to not get stuck in the way that things have always been done, and to really have a growth mindset and find new ways to have impact. Second is start small. So when we experiment and we try different techniques, we pilot and we start with one team or one use case. Then we develop a case study, and then we start shopping that case study around and gain momentum with. And then trust the process. You know, behavior change is hard, and some partners are coming to those workshops expecting to sit and listen to insights, and so there was some skepticism at first, but once they join the workshop and start seeing how quickly we were able to turn insights into action, they were in.
Mhm. And a couple things to avoid again, don't get stuck in tradition just because you've been doing that the same way for a long time. But if it's not effective, then it's time to make a change. And so be open to that. But you don't have to over rotate. Like we don't have to scrap everything out and start from scratch. There are components of the current process that work. So preserve that and then add whatever the team or the business need at that point. And finally, don't overcrowd the workshop. It's going to maybe feel tempting to invite everyone, but the challenge with that is if too many voices and they're not decision makers, that it actually slows the progress. So make sure the key people that are able to make those decisions and prioritize solving, they're the ones in the room.
All right. So we made it to the top of the pyramid here. And this is where things really start to come together, where this cross org partnership is being highlighted. And this is where all that hard work that you're doing at the project level, or you're working on those initiatives, um, those deep cross functional partnerships that you've been building and scaling over time, uh, they help you scale that initiative and help it grow in the organization. And so one powerful example that we have of this was our betas at DocuSign program. So our betas operation team, they were in the process of solving for inconsistent go-to-market beta process. There were unclear roles, undefined processes, and some opportunities to improve ways of working. And that team was looking for a way to establish entry and exit criteria for betas. And they found out that our team was developing a culture of measurement, and we were working through this challenge on our own.
Mhm. Through the culture of measurement, we established what I was referring to earlier, that experience scorecard, which allowed us to systematically um, measure the usefulness, usability, and the satisfaction of experiences. So, and we documented those results. So that was the opportunity for us to partner, because the betas team was looking for a rigorous process. That this became one of those tools that they're able to incorporate in the process.
And so together we aligned on clear entry and exit criteria and built a repeatable framework that added structure and clarity to betas. This meant that we weren't just testing for bugs and stability in our betas, but we were testing whether the product was actually ready to be shipped, if it was meeting the criteria of usefulness, satisfaction, usability. And if it wasn't, then we had a shared understanding to pause and decide what business action should be taken. So by formalizing these checkpoints with our beta operations team, we moved from gut checks to data-backed decisions. Because releasing products and features to millions of customers and billions of users is not something that we wanted to leave to guesswork.
Yeah.
So some examples of impact that this project had, this partnership was we had products that sometimes did not pass that criteria. And as a result, the team did pause, did evaluate, and make pivots before moving into a general availability. Um, a second is going through this process and realizing and that there was a gap in how research was supporting betas, to the point that we increased our research support to support betas and the beta program.
Okay, and here are a few things we learned along the way. Be ready, meaning when these opportunities to partner arise, you have to be ready. Come prepared with context and data, and figure out how your work connects to theirs. So then we can be making mutually beneficial decisions and partnership. Seek larger systems. Don't just think about the problem in isolation. Understanding the bigger pictures and how we all can work together to solve that is going to be beneficial for that cross org partnership. And add value. The like when you approach these partnerships, don't come to the table with what can I get out of this. Think of more of how do I add value. So that opens up opportunities to build more deeper partnerships across the organization.
Yeah, and sort of building on that point, you can't push your agenda. When it comes to partnerships, you have to find equal value. You have to bring something, and your partner is bringing something, and you have to be flexible in order to have cross organizational work happen. Uh, can't walk in with too many expectations. You have to be open to different outcomes. Those outcomes might shift as the teams start talking about what really needs to happen, and so you have to be open to pivoting based on that. And lastly, it sort of plays along the same theme, but you just can't be too rigid. Coming into a partnership with a rigid approach is generally not going to work well. You have to be flexible with processes and timelines, and that will just increase the potential for success.
So, in the interest of time, we were only able to share a few of the examples, but there's a lot that we experimented, implemented, and continue to explore to strengthen that customer intuition across our org. Um, that foundational layer, the customer coffee chat we mentioned, is just one of them. But the beauty of this framework is depending where you are in terms of maturity or company size, there's a version of this that could work for you. So you have to kind of figure out what the company and the team's ready for and tackle that first.
So think about where your team sits in this pyramid, and are there categories that you might want to strengthen with your customer intuition? And what's one step that you could take today to get closer to your customers and bring the organization along with you?